You might have seen these artifacts along the middle of your low poly. If you have, I'm going to show you how to fix them. So first things first, let's go to ZBrush, and the most important thing is to check if your high poly is right in the center. So we go through the subtools one by one. We go to geometry, position, and we check that all of them are at 0 position. You can go through them with the arrow keys. So first one is okay, then second one, third one, everything is at 0. We're looking at the X position right here. Okay, everything seems to be fine. Another check that you can do is you can do mirror and weld. If you don't see any differences happening, then your high poly is completely symmetrical. Okay, once this is checked, we're gonna go into 3ds Max. We already have our low poly, new mesh, unwrapped, everything is good. The thing that we need to check first is that our pivot point at 0, 0. If it isn't, let's say that it was over here, center of the object, right? What we can do is affect pivot, right click on the arrows, and then that's going to bring it right in the center of the world in 3ds Max. And then if you have vertices, let's say from your retopology or however you created your low poly, let's say your vertices are not completely aligned. Ideally, you should have one loop that goes along the middle. Then holding control, you're going to select all of these vertices, then align them by X, move them a little bit, and then right click on the X to center them. Now they are completely centered, so we'll be able to use symmetry. Before you apply your symmetry modifier, you might want to check if you have any sharp angles that you want to create a new smoothing group. So at the beginning, we're going to start with smoothing groups, everything at 1. All of the smoothing groups are equal. But then if I want to check the unwrap UVs, for example, this here might generate some errors because it's a 90-degree angle. And also this backside might affect how the front shading is transitioning into the back faces. So what I would like to do is collapse these, and then I'm going to select these faces. You can also select them from the UVs, but for me, like this is easier. And then I'm going to apply a different smoothing group for these faces here. The lower your poly is, the lower amount of polygons you have, the harder the smoothing is going to be, so the more pronounced the errors. So I'm going to click third smoothing group over here, and then you'll see if I go back, you'll see how the smoothing changes right away over here on these edges. So to avoid these kind of problems, we're just going to create a new smoothing group, and then we are ready to apply the symmetry modifier. Your mesh might disappear. We just need to click here, slice along mirror, and then it's going to show up the whole mesh. If your mesh is too small, your vertices in the middle are going to start blending. So make sure that your threshold here is not too high or too low. So if it's too high, it's going to start merging those middle vertices. So we're gonna right click on the arrows over here. Now all of the vertices in the middle are unwelded. So you can see that there's no smooth shading between them. If we click just once on the upper arrow here, it's going to weld everything together. And this is what we want. After this, we're going to collapse the symmetry modifier, and then this is where the real trick is to avoid the middle seams. I'm going to click on Unwrap, open UV Editor, and then I'm going to select all of the inverted polygons. We have one inverted here, which is not what we want. We want to make sure that we're selecting only the right side. The other option is just to select them from the middle, or when you are moving them here, you can see. Okay, so we go 1, offset them, and if there's no dragging of polygons, then everything is good. But if we did it the wrong way, let's say that select inverted polygons, and then we have this mistake selected here, but if we move it, we're gonna see this stretching, okay, because they're still connected together. So we don't want that. We click this, we deselect this one, and then making sure that we are not in scaling or rotating mode, we press the W key so that we go to the move. And then number 1, we move them temporarily here during the bake so that we have fixed this middle seam here. Then we can exit this screen, collapse, and move on. I have my high poly and low poly right here in 3ds Max. When I'm exporting, export selected, I'm gonna click on here, FBX, and then I'm gonna choose smoothing groups, preserve edge orientation, and then tangent by normals. These should work just fine. Okay. Once you're here in Marmoset, you wanna click on your baker, and then if you named your meshes correctly, you can just load from the quick loader. Click right here, and then it's going to automatically assign them to the same baking group. As you can see, we have the high here and then the low over here. All right, we're going to, from here, everything is simple, very straightforward.